All right, so Zatima fans, one video I posted last night that has a decent amount of comments so far. We got about 18, and I'm sure as the days roll on, more people will chime in. But the video was, should Zach and Fatima's wedding be a movie or multi-part episode? And of course, there are different layers to this, you know. Okay, should the wedding take place at the tail end, at the very end of the show, similar to Nikki and the Professor and the Parkers, or Jamie and what was her name? Fancy at the end of the Jamie Foxx show. You know, there have been a number of different sitcoms and whatnot, and I think it's fair to like put Zatima in that, you know, black sitcom category where we could possibly make some assumptions or guesses about where the show is going based on the likes of a Martin or Living Single. Hopefully, you know, unlike some of those shows, this show doesn't get canceled randomly and we don't get a true definitive, you know, final episode. Thankfully, the likes of a Fresh Prince or a Living Single, we got conclusions. You know, back in the day, Lord, can you imagine if the final episode of Zatima is them moving out of their house? Damn. That's how you knew a show was over back in the day. It's like the whole set or the whole house is cleaned out, aside from maybe a rug or something like that. And then one character, they just look around, flip off the switch, the lights goes off, and the last thing we hear maybe is a door closing, and that's it. But yeah, so this video I made, I talked about it briefly in there about, okay, wow, yeah, if we do have a Zach and Fatima wedding, who exactly is going to attend? And, you know, like bridesmaids and groomsmen and whatnot. When you look at the Sistas cast, I really don't think, aside from maybe Andi, I don't think any of the sisters will be there in attendance because of the whole loyalty to Karen bullshit. And this video is going to focus on, will Andi attend Zach and Fatima's wedding? I think yes. Not only attend, I could see her either being a bridesmaid or the maid of honor. I think that position could either be Angela's or Andi's. However, at the moment, I'm more inclined to put Andi in that position due to the fact that she really put herself out there in order to get Zach and Fatima out of jail in Sistas season 4. Angela, she's kind of been fighting Fatima and her relationship for a majority of season 1. That's not to say Angela isn't a friend, but I do feel like Andi so far, and to be fair, you know, we've only gotten 10 episodes of Zatima versus almost 100 episodes of Sistas. I do feel like Andi at this moment is more worthy of being the maid of honor than Angela. But like I said, at the very least, I think Andi would be standing up there with Fatima regardless of what position she holds on the bride's team. Like I said, Danny and Fatima kind of have a bond there, but it really boils down to the fact that she's loyal to Karen. And, you know, like when she just randomly walked into Zach's house and started spouting out nonsense about, you know, I think the baby's yours, Zach, and I think you know it's yours too. And then the fact, so you really ain't feeling Karen, despite the fact that Danny invited Karen and Zach over to her place to be like the silent moderator and heard everything that came out of Zach's mouth. He's done with Karen. He doesn't love her no more, and he doesn't want to see her no more. Yet she's still over there spouting nonsense. Mind you, you could argue that Danny was only doing that shit due to the fact that she was in her feelings about suspecting Zach of giving Preston, you know, advice, because, you know, Preston's doing all this weird shit that you used to do with Karen. So she put 2 and 2 together. But regardless, Danny is an iffy one. And then on top of that, Sabrina, her and Fatima really don't have a connection. I think maybe at the very least, Sabrina maybe got a compliment from Fatima about her dress or something. I honestly don't remember. This was season 2 when Fatima first met all the women. I'm sure as hell Karen ain't going. And there's no doubt in my mind. which could mean the whole thing about if Andi's the odd woman out. I feel like, you know, if we transport over to Sistas and then they hear about the wedding taking place and whatnot, and it's like, you know, well, I'm not going. And I'm thinking to myself, well, did y'all heifers even get an invite? So why y'all talking shit? I can imagine like I don't think all like Zach and Fatima, when they're sitting down doing invites, I don't think they would sit there like, hey, let's invite Danny, let's invite, you know, I know Fatima would vouch for Andi right away. And Zach, I honestly don't think he'd have reservations about it. You know, I think maybe the conversation might come up of, well, I don't know if she's going to come because of her being best friends with Karen, but I think at the very least we should send the invite. I could see that happening. But with Sabrina and Danny, that's a no-go, literally. So it's just like the typical cool kid party that takes place where you have the group of misfit characters and one of them at random gets selected to be a part of the party. And then it's like, well, none of my other friends got invited. So if I go, you know, are they going to feel bad? Am I a bad friend for going without them? And I know that when it comes to the Sistas group, they're going to look at Andi some sort of way. And then, you know, Karen will cry and go into the whole, I was here first, Andi. I was here first. You should be loyal to me. All this other bullshit. I don't give a fuck. Look, Andi, don't even be shady about it. Just say you're going. I know there's going to be a thing where, Karen, look, you were my friend first, but fine. Fine. I won't go. And then she ends up going and then she gets caught. Bump that. No. Andi needs to stand up for herself. I mean, when Karen went over to the penthouse and was ranting about the whole thing, pretty much dismissing and not even allowing Andi to talk, dismissing the idea that Fatima's nothing more than her secretary. Not in her. Karen won't allow Andi to be anything with Fatima other than a co-worker connection. They aren't friends. No, you're not. No. Andi needs to put her foot down for real. And if that means being the odd woman out of the Sisters group, then freak them. Seriously. What have they done for Andi? I mean, yeah, aside from be there for her from time to time, usually when she's the victim of her own recklessness, you know, like having an affair with a married man, for example. But I do feel like Andi should stand up for herself and go, regardless of what the other sisters have to say. Let's say in the off chance that, you know, everybody but Karen gets an invite, because let's be real, I have no idea why Karen would get an invite, even if at the time she is still pregnant. For Fatima to go, well, technically she could be carrying your child. That's no justification for her getting an invite. For real, there's no justification for that. And, you know, Andi going, I feel, is letting go. I mean, if it turns out that Andi or Karen pulls a Preston by giving Andi an ultimatum, Andi, if you go to that wedding, we're not friends no more. Okay. I know Andi wouldn't be as, you know, cold about it, but I think at this point, if me going to a wedding is a deal breaker for our friendship, then we weren't really friends to begin with. That's how I look at it. Because it isn't just like, it isn't just her relationship with Zach always throwing up in his face what she's done for him, what, you know, he owes me. She does the same thing with Andi about Fatima in regards to, I was here first, you owe me for all the times I stood by your side and whatnot. I need you to stand by me now. The thing about the whole stand by me is you want somebody to stand with you even when you're 1000% in the wrong. You don't want to hear anything else. Now, when it comes down to the Andi and Karen friendship, cut ties. Like I said, if this was the ending of the series, like the wedding took place at the ending, yeah, I could definitely see this break in the friendship happening, and that will be the end of it. Why do I get the feeling this reminds me of Tony and what's her name? Joan from Girlfriends, that kind of friendship dynamic there where one of them's a user, The other one is just a doormat that's always walked all over. Yeah, you could argue that Tony is Karen and Joan is Andi. That actually makes sense. But yeah, I think Andi should go to the wedding. Yeah, I think she's the only sister who deserves an invite and deserves to go. And, you know, when you look at the whole thing about the sisters' loyalty, I actually had a good conversation with somebody on Twitter yesterday about how Karen, this whole baby thing and the whole Fatima and Zach relationship has distanced her from the group. And then that one shot from season 4 when they're all in the penthouse on the couch, I feel like it's the perfect illustration of that. How Karen is always going to be on the outside looking in because of her own ego and bitterness. So, you know, typically, let's say Andi decides, she stands up to Karen, she goes to the wedding. Danny's like, well, girl, you know, it is what it is. So she decides to go. And Sabrina is a follower, so she would mindlessly follow after the girls, and Karen will be the only one left alone looking stupid. But again, that really depends on if Sabrina and Danny even get an invite. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think Andi will get invited to the wedding? Do you think she should go to the wedding? And if she goes, will she be a part of the wedding, bridesmaid or maid of honor? So thanks so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe. I'll talk to you in the next one.